Hey everyone, welcome to episode 341, Our Broken Pieces. Welcome to the Harmony in the Home podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Hutchison. I'm a counselor, a life coach, and most importantly, an imperfect mom doing this work right along with you. And my goal on our podcast is to go from chaos to calm, feel less frazzled, and have more fun within your four walls to have more harmony in your home. Hey everyone, you're probably like, what are we talking about? Are we talking about being a puzzle tonight? Kind of, sort of, not really. Before we get into today's topic, talking about healing our inner child, which we talk about all the time, I want to talk to you about Herbal Face Food, which is our sponsor of the show. It has been our sponsor for a couple of weeks. I'm so excited because this is so good for your skin to make it feel supple, smooth, and helps with acne, rosacea, eczema. Go to herbalfacefood.com, use the coupon code HARMONY20, and you will get 20% off your first order. And I think it's absolutely adorable that we have a coupon code. Like, what? We are like going big time, baby. And also, I have a request. If you could post one of your favorite episodes or just post about the podcast with a link to it on your social media and then tag me. I'm going to do a giveaway for anybody who does that. I'm going to put your name in a hat if you do it, and I'm going to draw your name for a $50 gift card to either Amazon or just a gift card, just full on cash, like a Visa gift card. So if you do that, tag me, and we will have until Valentine's Day to get all the submissions in. And I will, every time I see a tag, I will put your name into a hat. So every week, if you do a new tag, that'll be a new name into the hat. So, oh my God, I just thought this is like all just coming to me. So let me know if that sounds good, because I'm not really good at self-promo. So I feel like I can hide behind all of you, and you can all promote the podcast and help us to keep it not going behind a paywall, because I really don't want to do that. And I cannot believe we're almost to episode 350. Like, what is actually happening? So today we're going to listen to something that I heard from Dr. Vanessa Lapointe. Absolutely love her. And I heard this and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to record the podcast immediately. I think we were on our way to church, and I was like, I can't record this now, but I have to have them listen to this immediately. Talking you, meaning they. And I was so excited because it really just encapsulates everything we've been talking about healing inner child, why we blow up when we don't know why, all the things. So I copied the link, and I was going to paste the link to Shar, and then I was going to paste the link to, or in my notes app. But then I accidentally was someplace else on my phone. Like, oh, you know how they like send you a code or whatever? And I copied the code, and I was like, wait, I don't know what the link was. Oh no, I lost the link. Who said what they just said about the breaking and the broken parts? And I was so frustrated because I didn't know who said it. I didn't know where the link was. I could not remember the name of the doctor. And I was at church, and it was worship night. So it was all music. It was so beautiful. And I'm like, oh, what is the name of the doctor? And I could like picture her voice, because she has like a little bit of vocal fry. She has just a very unique voice. And so I was picturing her voice. I could picture her clothes. I could picture what she was wearing. I've seen many clips from her. I love all that she shares, and I could not think of her. And I was like, Kelly, just think of it. Just think of it. And I just let my brain just like circulate and think and think and think and think and think. And then finally it came out, Dr. Lapointe. I was like, yes. So then I went to her page, and I found the clip, and here it is. You're going to absolutely love it.
A break where we were broken. Let's say as a child, when you became emotionally dysregulated, you were fired up and you were kind of reactive and acting out, which would be perfectly acceptable and normal for you to do as a child. And then a reaction to that misbehavior would be some kind of a punishment. Maybe you got spanked. Maybe you got sent to your room. Here you are, a little kid, emotionally dysregulated. You're communicating through your behavior, I'm emotionally dysregulated, and you get smacked. Or you get timed out, which is not, by the way, going to calm you down. It's going to lead to more emotional dysregulation. That's the break. That's where you're broken. And you might have learned to squash your behavior to appease the needs or the wants of your grown-ups or whatever it is, and you found your way forward and you grew up and here you are and you're having babies. And let's say one of your kids, they throw something at their sibling's head. You are like, for the love of all things, what the AF is going on here? Because I have told you 27 times already today that we use our gentle hands and we do not throw things and da-da-da-da-da-da. So you have that percolating under the surface. Your kid throws something at your other kid's head and you go off. That is enough. I told you, and you might roughly grab your kid's arm and you take them off to their bedroom and you close the door and you angrily take that toy and you put it away. So why is it in that moment, after all these 27 other moments that day where you were able to hang on to yourself and you were able to respond with compassion, respond consciously, respond respectfully, and yet in that moment, you went off? The part of you that somebody went off on when you were a child needed to be heard. We break where we were broken. That's where your wound is. And the wound gets triggered up by your child shining a light on it in the beautiful way that our children do, so that you get to re-experience it. You get an opportunity to go back to that inner child part of yourself, tend to it, care for it, and heal it so that you can fail better next time. How do we know that you're gonna fail again? Because you will. Because we all do. That's what it is to be human.
I love all that she says, and I love that I was able to figure out who said it, and I love the comments too. Comments are like they're like part of the best part. They're like the second best part. It says, good point of view. Thank you. I'll try to be a little more chill when they misbehave. Maybe talk it out instead of yelling. My kids tell me, Mom, stop talking to me like that. I still make them clean their mess or fix whatever they did. Yes, we still want to have them fix their mess and clean up whatever they did or do whatever and fix it. We just don't want to act like a child while they're acting like a child. Does that make sense? Allison says, needed this so much right now. Thank you for sharing. My husband always asks me why I end up resorting to losing my cool. And recently I've felt so unheard to everyone in my life. My tolerance for her is lower than normal right now. And much of the stuff is bubbling to the surface. It's so true. If we don't deal with it, it's not going to go away. It doesn't magically get stored away and like never show up. It's always going to show up. Emotions are like energy. It has to have an outlet. If it doesn't have an outlet, it will make us act a cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Amy says, yes, I got all that. But my reactions have now caused a break in my kiddo for his future self. So how do I fix that? And how do I write that? I want to fix it. What I would say to Amy, not that she's asking me, she's asking Dr. Vanessa LaPointe, but I would say it's never too late. And I tell my kids all the time, like part of this podcast is like a way to do my penance because I have so much guilt and shame for how I acted, especially when Lily was little. Grady doesn't remember a lot of it, but Lily remembers a lot of the tense moments and the I would call myself the pointy lip mom, like the snappy mom. She remembers a little bit of it, but she's like, Mom, it's so long ago, like you need to stop like apologizing for it. But I'm always like, but you, just so you know, you're building an ego now and like Dad and I are writing on your blueprints now. And she doesn't really understand it, but I say it still. I still feel better just saying it. Ashley says, I've never felt so heard before. This is 100% me, and I don't know what it stems from. I don't remember being punished or anything negative in the way I react to my kids. All I keep trying is whatever trick I find to regulate myself so I can regulate them. Yes, that's so true. And I can relate with Ashley a lot because I don't remember my parents like not seeing me, not validating me. They were like, I would say overly validating. Like if I think back to my childhood, like I don't remember having like huge storms. And if I did, they were just like, oh, it's the third born. Just let her ride it out. I'm thinking that's what happened. I have no memory whatsoever of being in trouble for my temper. Of course I cried. Of course I had my moments, but I remember being a really happy kid. And I remember just being very free and fancy free and not a care in the world. Like even when I was in college, I felt very invincible. And even in high school, I felt so invincible and just like I could fly if I wanted to. Like I just felt very free and I felt very happy all the time. And my parents delighted in my happiness. So I feel like I got a lot of kudos for being the happy kid in the family, the happy person in the family. Like, oh, she's sunshine. She's always smiling. She's always happy. So I would say I was validated for my happiness, if that makes sense. And I loved making my parents happy. So I knew the happier I was, the happier they would be. And I wasn't like hiding, like I was so sad and I was like hiding my sadness from them. I brought my sadness to them all the time and they were really good about holding the space. So what happened, what I feel like when I look back at what Ashley's talking about is I was praised and I was the happy child and that was my identity and that was my gift I brought to the family. And I still feel like I'm that gift to the family. They're probably like, Kelly, what are you talking about? You were crying yesterday. But you know what I mean? Like just the positive energy is what I was kind of known for in the family. And so what I did is I assumed all kids should be happy all of the time. That was a huge, huge unlocking that I had to do. So when my kids weren't happy all the time, which they were not, I had a lot of tears. I could not believe how much my kids were crying, upset, mad at me, just disappointed in my decisions and why'd you do that? And it could be the way I peeled a banana. And I took that as such affront. I took that as such a slap in my face that you, S-U-C-K, as a parent, you're a failure, you're a loser, I'm not happy, and it's because of you. So when my kids weren't happy, I am telling you that brought such a big reaction out of me. So when they weren't happy, then I wasn't happy. And I never taught them how to be unhappy, if that makes sense. They got in trouble for being unhappy. So they were always trying to stuff their unhappiness, so to speak. And they were so afraid of being unhappy that it made them more unhappy, because if they were upset about something, they almost like unconsciously knew, I need to hide that from mom because I'm going to get in trouble. So once I allowed them to be unhappy and allowed them and taught them how to feel their feelings and taught them how to hold the space for each other, and I held the space for them, all of a sudden they were less unhappy. It was the most bananas making thing that has ever happened. It was so counterintuitive. The more you allow your kids to be upset, the less upset they are. Like, what? That's insane. Like, that doesn't even make sense when I'm saying it out loud. But it's true. Once I realized that, like, oh, just because I was a happy kid doesn't mean kids need to be happy all the time. I just don't remember the times that I was like, flailing mad. And I'm not like a really angry person, so I don't remember like having like all this resentment towards my parents, or like, some teacher or I had a lot of issues with coaches when I got older, but teachers, coaches, they were all chill. They all just said I talk too much. They pretty much liked me, but they're just like, this girl's not shut up. Now I have a podcast. Isn't that funny? I can't read the name of this writer, but she says, when my son was about 18 months old, I was tired, frustrated, exhausted, and at my limit. It wasn't his fault, and I hate myself daily that in the moment he hit me and I hit him back. Oh, it's so sad. I know how much shame she must be feeling. She just needs to untangle the socks. I was in absolute shock of my own actions that I broke down, cried, and apologized many times. I was never hit as a child, but I was treated like an object. Children are meant to be seen, not heard, was the messages I got growing up. And I was never allowed to show my feelings, especially the big ones. Now I do time out with my son. He is 6 and has big emotions. So we sit together and take big breaths and put the timer on to give us both time to calm down. Then we talk about what went wrong and how we can fix it. And the biggest thing I have learned is sometimes I am the one at fault and I'm the one who has to fix the problems. It's not always the child's fault. So true. It's like 50-50 in our house. My almost 2-year-old the other day was having a tantrum and thought his tears, and through his tears he said, I'm mad. And I was so proud of him to name that emotion and understand what was wrong. And I held him and helped him work through it. Once he had calmed down, I told him I was proud of him. Once we stopped seeing tantrums as the problem, yes, Maria, you get it, and started trying to figure out what the actual problem was, we've seen a real improvement in far less tantrums. Yes, they happen less frequently, less intensity, and less duration, but we never want them to go away completely. I need to shout that from the rooftop. Emotions are normal. They just have to have some place to go. We need to teach them healthy ways of letting them go places. So when they are 25 and 35 and 45 and not at home, they know how to emotionally regulate on their own. Heidi says, interesting. I think this touches gently on some real experiences as a child and as a parent. I don't know if it's where I was broken, but usually at my snap point, I'm just overextended and lost patience. So true. Caroline says, children are our mirrors. They will show us what must be healed, and if we haven't healed it already. So true. I had no idea how much unhealed trauma I was bringing in, and I had an awesome childhood. It wasn't like, it was just all this messaging that I had put in my head of how it's going to be, and then when it wasn't, and I didn't have the kids that I thought I was going to have, I was like very thrown off by that, and that's where my reactions came from. Pinyu says, I just want to add here, I'm not a perfect or enabling parent, but I'm very conscious. Gentle doesn't mean letting the kid do whatever they want. Yes, Pinyu. I hope I'm saying your name right. In fact, boundaries, warnings, consistency, and modeling behavior is necessary. Also, if you mess up, because we all do, put your lid back on, attempt a reflection to repair. What just happened? Mama got angry. You got mad. What should we do? What can we try next time? And apologize. Yes. Leanne says it perfectly. In other words, how would you have wanted the response to be for you when you were a child? Yes. What was the response you wanted when you were a child and you were upset? Do that. Do more of that. And then you reparent yourself. Karen says, I never became emotionally dysregulated. It wasn't even a thing. I wasn't allowed to. Could be why I live in a state of rage today. It's very true. And when you know that, then you're like, okay, this is something I need to deal with on my own, not through my kids, with my kids, using my kids as a pawn to heal that old wound in current time. They can't do it. They aren't able to, and it's not their fault, and it's not their baggage, so to speak. So we focus on our side of the street, how we're showing up, what comes up for us, and then reflection, and consciousness. It allows air to go in between those tangled up socks, lets the socks breathe, and you show up in the way you want to. We break where we were broken. Oh, I love what she says that because it helps us to bring consciousness into what went on and what is going on in our brain. And when we really get conscious and start thinking about why our behavior is the way it is, then we can untether ourselves from that. I was working with a client one time and she was very triggered by her daughter's huge, and I mean huge tantrums, like throwing books, knocking over bookshelves, destroying her room, breaking bookshelves, very, very, very much. And so she was triggered so much that she was going in and she was like, oh, really? You want to destroy your room? Let's destroy your room. And then she was like having her own tantrum at the same time. And like, you're not going to act this way. And then it was like destroying other things within the house. Like, you're not going to destroy this. And as she's destroying things. And we do that all the time. We are so hypocritical. I say we, because I am so hypocritical when it comes to parenting, because you're like, well, I do what I say, but don't do what I do, if that makes sense. So the reason why she did some untethering and she figured it out because her mom used to have her mom was bipolar, and her mom used to have huge epic meltdowns and would destroy things in the house. And so when her own daughter was just at 2 years old was destroying, I use lightly because they're very much like a tornado sometimes when they get mad. But it's also fake. Not fake, like they're not really doing it, but like it's almost laughable, like, oh really? And then they'll like throw a book and like they think that's like going to get this huge reaction because they want that huge reaction. Then they know that they won because they're mad, so they want to make you mad. So if they're PO'd, then they want to make you PO'd. And once they make you PO'd, then I'm like, yep, handing over the hot potato of anger to this one, and I don't have to hold it anymore because now she has it. So the reason why she was so triggered is because she was all of a sudden transported back into being a little girl and having her mom throw dishes and coffee pots, like in the sink angrily, and just like, oh, really? You're going to act like this? Then I'll show you who's boss around here. That was how she was raised in that energy, and that was very stressful for her. So when the child was doing it at 1, 2 years old, she was very, very triggered and having her own tantrum because she couldn't have a tantrum when she was younger around her mom and do it back to her mom, but she was able to with her own child. And so I love what Dr. LaPointe says. She says, once we're aware of it, then we tend to it, care for it, and heal it. Those 3 lines, I was like, chef's kiss, Dr. LaPointe. That is so true and so good. Because once she realized her reaction to her daughter having these tantrums was a reaction, it was old stuff from her mom having the tantrums as an adult, because she was dealing with her own stuff and throwing dishes in the sink and just throwing things, not breaking them, but just throwing pots and pans in the sink and screaming her head off. And so she was transported into that. And that's why she was so fearful and so scared. So she was showing up very fearful and scared and was like, well, I couldn't fight back when I was a kid, but I'm going to fight back now. And so her reaction was coming from old stuff. So she was actually yelling at her mom back in the day, but she couldn't do it back in the day. So she was doing it in present time, because it always brings up your old stuff. Your kids do the most. And I would say kids and spouse bring it up the most. And that's a good thing, because then we can, like she said, we can let it come up, tend to it, care for it, and heal it. Now, I don't want us to spend our whole life healing and thinking like there's something wrong with us, or that we need to go to 17,000 counselors to be fixed, because we're not broken. When we're aware of this, we shine light on it, and it kind of airs itself out. It's kind of like the other day I was doing laundry and I put socks in the dryer, but they were all balled up. They were like bound together already. And so when I got in the dryer, obviously they did not dry, only the outside it did. So I had to untangle the socks. I had to pull them apart from each other, put them in the dryer for another 5 to 7 minutes, and then they were dry. That's the same thing with any type of old pain that we have laying around. We just have to put it back in the dryer and untangle it. We don't have to do 17 different self-help courses, read 27 books, and fix our broken parts, because we're not broken. We have parts of our hearts that are broken. And so our kids will bring up those parts of our hearts that are broken. And we are always trying to heal old pain in current time. So that's what the unconscious brain does, is it stores it, and then it tries to recreate it as an adult and tries to heal it. So that's why the situations are like Groundhog's Day, and it will keep recreating it until we get the lesson. Once we get the lesson and we tend to it, we care for it, and we heal it, guess what happens? It doesn't happen as often. And when it does, it doesn't bring up so much emotion. Now her daughter, when she has the tantrums, or she destroys her room, or throws her clothes on the floor when she's angry, the mom still deals with it. It's not like we just like, oh, you destroyed your room. Okay, now let's go have some ice cream for dinner. That's not what her reaction and the way in which she enters it is where she gets her power back. Because she can show up and know that her daughter's having a hard time versus giving us a hard time. Our kids don't know our baggage, nor should they. They don't know our history. They don't know our trauma. They don't know our pain. They don't know our hurts. They don't know our broken hearts, nor should they. And nor can they heal us even if they wanted to. Even if they had a magic wand, still couldn't do it. So when we're aware of this, then we let it rise up, we tend to it, we care for it, and we heal it. When we think of it that way, then we don't have to go to 17 different counselors, do 17 different self-help courses, read 27 books, and realize like, oh, this is part of being a human experience. I have to make sure that I don't recreate it with my kids to try to heal it. And I separate and I untether it from my kids. And then I can see my kids as just kids being kids, and then enter into that tantrum or that storm or the whining with more patience and kindness and calmness versus meeting their tantrum with our tantrum, meeting their destroying their room with us destroying the room, meeting their yelling at us with us yelling back at them, meeting them hitting us with us hitting them back, and so on and so forth. And then when you're able to do that, you see that the temperature of tension in the house get softer, lighter, fluffier, not all the time, but most of the time. And you're setting a new AC setting in your home, and it takes a while to get to that comfortable setting. But once you do, you'll have so much more harmony in the home. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye. Hey mamas, thanks for listening. If you had any ahas, clicks, or those lightning bolt moments while listening, you have to check out my free parenting bootcamp, where we take all of this to the next level and we try to create even more awakenings for ourselves so that we can connect more with our kids and never yell at them again. You can sign up at www.coachingkelly.com. And if you really want to fill up my love cup, send me an email of what your aha was, what your click was, what was that lightning bolt moment while you were listening. I want nothing more in life than for you to have harmony in your home and to learn how to be an imperfect mom like me, which allows your kids to be imperfect too, each and every day. Thanks for listening.